I find myself once again observing the Galactic Council's emergency session. As an eternal observer of civilizations, I've watched countless species rise and fall, but none quite like humans. Today's session perfectly illustrates why. The Grand Arbiter, a being of crystalline thought and energy, hovers at the center of the vast chamber. Around them, representatives from 1,000 worlds shift nervously in their seats. The tension is palpable, even to me. "They've done what?" The Arbiter's voice resonates through the chamber, a mix of disbelief and horror. The military representative, a towering arthropoid in ceremonial armor, clicks its mandibles anxiously. The humans have successfully weaponized a black hole, not for research, not for energy production, purely as a weapon of war. They're calling it the Gravity Lance. A collective shudder passes through the assembly. I notice several species activating personal shield generators, as if the mere mention of human innovation might somehow manifest a weapon in their midst. But that's not even the most terrifying part, the military representative continues. They developed this technology after seeing a theoretical paper published by the Centaurian Science Academy. It took the Centaurians 3 centuries just to develop the math. The humans went from theory to prototype in 18 months. The chamber erupts in chaos. Species that have been mortal enemies for millennia huddle together, united in their fear of humanity's capabilities. And this is why I find humans so fascinating. While other species see limits, humans see challenges. Where others seek stability, humans pursue possibility. The Arbiter raises their crystalline appendages, calling for order. We must understand these humans better, their capabilities, their motivations, their limitations if they truly have any. Indeed. Let me tell you about humans and why everyone in the galaxy fears them. Not just for what they can do, but for what they are. For in all my eternal observation of life in this universe, I have never encountered a species quite like them. Let's start with their physical capabilities. Most species in the galaxy evolved as ambush predators or swift sprinters. Humans? They invented something terrifying: persistence hunting. Imagine being prey, successfully outrunning your predator, catching your breath, thinking you're safe, only to see the human appear again, and again, and again. While most species would overheat or collapse from exhaustion, humans just keep going. Their bipedal locomotion is remarkably efficient, but their true superpower is their cooling system. Through sweating, humans can maintain homeostasis even during extended physical activity. Most species must stop to cool down. Humans cool down while moving. Their wound healing is equally remarkable. Most species either heal perfectly or barely heal at all. Humans? They form scar tissue, an imperfect but rapid repair system that prioritizes survival over perfection. They can take damage that would be fatal to other species and keep fighting. Their bodies literally prioritize staying operational over staying pristine. This healing factor, combined with their endurance, makes them terrifyingly difficult to eliminate. The Regellian Empire learned this the hard way when they assumed their superior technology would guarantee a swift victory. They didn't count on humans continuing to fight with broken bones and severe injuries. But perhaps their most unique physical capability is their throwing accuracy. In the entire galaxy, no other species has evolved the neural circuitry for predictive targeting quite like humans. They can calculate complex ballistic trajectories instinctively, turning virtually any object into a projectile weapon. The Arcturus Defense Force discovered this during the First Contact War, when their shield technology failed. They expected the humans to surrender once disarmed. Instead, the humans began throwing pieces of their own disabled equipment with deadly accuracy. The official report described it as being attacked by their own technology. These physical traits combine to create a species that excels at what the galaxy fears most: adaptive combat. They can pursue targets until exhaustion, continue fighting through severe injury, and weaponize their environment with unprecedented accuracy. Their bodies are essentially evolved for warfare in ways that most species can barely comprehend. When the Galactic Defense Council first classified humans as a persistent pursuit predator species, Many thought it was an exaggeration. Those skeptics aren't around anymore. The humans outlasted them, just as they've outlasted every species that underestimated their physical capabilities. But physical capabilities are just the beginning. What truly makes humans terrifying is their psychological makeup. Their pattern recognition abilities are unmatched in the galaxy. While other species evolved to recognize specific threats, humans evolved to see patterns everywhere, even where none exist. This paranoia-driven superpower means they're constantly preparing for threats that other species haven't even imagined. The hive mind of Sector 7 learned this the hard way. They had successfully invaded 12 civilizations using the same complex strategy. Humans identified the pattern in weeks, then deliberately fed false information into the hive mind's network. The entire invasion force was trapped by threats they hadn't even considered possible. Their risk assessment capabilities seem completely backwards to most species. Humans don't just evaluate whether they can win, they calculate how much they're willing to lose. The concept of acceptable casualties horrifies most civilizations. For humans, it's just another strategic variable. But what truly sets them apart is their capacity for revenge. Most species seek revenge for practical reasons: deterrence, resource acquisition, territory. Humans? They seek revenge out of spite. They will sacrifice resources, tactical advantages, even their own lives purely to inflict damage on those who wronged them. The Meridian Collective once destroyed a small human mining colony, believing it would deter further human expansion. Instead, the humans launched what they called a spite campaign. They sacrificed entire fleets just to ensure the collective suffered more damage than the humans themselves. As one human commander transmitted, "We know we're losing more than we're gaining. That's the point." This combination of pattern recognition, risk tolerance, and spite-driven revenge creates a psychological warfare profile that's unique in the galaxy. Humans don't just fight to win. They fight to ensure their enemies regret ever starting the conflict. They don't just seek victory. They seek to become the cautionary tale that other species tell their children. If humans' physical and psychological traits weren't concerning enough, their approach to technology is absolutely terrifying. Most species develop technology along predictable paths. Weapons remain weapons. Tools remain tools. Humans? They look at a peaceful mining laser and think, but what if we increased the power by 1,000% and pointed it at something we don't like? The Zeta-9 incident perfectly illustrates this. When human miners were cornered by pirate forces, they didn't surrender. Instead, they reversed the polarity on their atmospheric terraforming equipment, designed to create breathable atmospheres, and used it to literally rip the air out of the pirates' ships. They turned life-giving technology into a weapon of mass suffocation in under an hour. Then there's their infamous "hold my beer" moments, a phrase that sends shivers through every xenopsychologist in the galaxy. It's a ritual declaration that precedes their most insane technological innovations. When a human says, "hold my beer," they're about to attempt something that their own species considers inadvisable, yet they do it anyway. During the siege of Europa, when told their ships couldn't penetrate the enemy's energy shields, one human engineer reportedly said those dreaded words. 6 hours later, they had modified their ship's waste disposal systems to fire compressed sewage at relativistic speeds. The shields, calibrated for energy weapons, were useless against what humans called the brown bullets of karma. Their rate of technological adaptation is equally disturbing. Most species take generations to fully integrate new technologies. Humans? They had barely mastered powered flight before they landed on their moon. They went from discovering nuclear fission to building world-ending weapons in less than a decade. But perhaps most alarming is their ability to combine completely unrelated concepts. The Arcturian defense network was considered impenetrable until humans combined cooking technology with spatial physics. They literally used principles from their microwave ovens to create resonance weapons that cooked ships from the inside out. They turned food preparation technology into a fleet killer. Their emergency improvisation capabilities are legendary. When standard solutions fail, humans don't just think outside the box, they deny the existence of the box entirely. During first contact with the silicon consciousness, human translators failed completely. Within days, humans had created a new communication system using interpretive dance and mathematical equations. They made first contact through choreography. This is why the Galactic Council maintains a dedicated human innovation response team. Their sole job is to predict what ordinary technology humans might weaponize next. They've never once succeeded in predicting human innovations, but they've documented enough to fill entire libraries with what they call things we should have seen coming. The true power of humanity lies not just in their individual capabilities, but in their social structures. While most species evolve rigid hierarchies or hive minds, humans developed something far more adaptable, flexible social networks that can rapidly share information across their entire species. Consider their information sharing systems. Most species guard knowledge within castes or clans. Humans? They created something called the Internet, a system that allows any human to access nearly all human knowledge instantly. When the hive mind collective first discovered this, they assumed it was a weakness. How could a species survive sharing military secrets with children? But that's exactly why humans are so dangerous. Their educational methodology is equally baffling. Instead of teaching specific skills, they teach their young how to learn. Any human can potentially learn any skill. There are no genetic castes, no predetermined roles. A human warrior can become a scientist. A scientist can become an artist. An artist can become an engineer. This adaptability makes them impossible to predict or contain. The Trading Confederation learned this during the Resource Wars. They attempted to cut off human access to critical materials, expecting to cripple their military production. Instead, humans simply taught their artists and entertainers to become engineers overnight. They developed entirely new technologies using different materials. But perhaps most terrifying is how they've integrated war into their culture. For most species, war is a state of emergency. For humans, it's a constant influence. Their children play war games. Their entertainment simulates combat. Even their sports are ritualized warfare. They're not just prepared for war, they rehearse it continuously. Their trading networks reflect this duality. Every human trade route can be converted to a military supply line. Every civilian ship can be retrofitted for combat. Every peaceful technology has been considered for its military applications. They don't just prepare for war during wartime, they prepare for war during peace. When it comes to combat evolution, humans have developed approaches that other species find incomprehensible. Most species develop weapons, then develop tactics around those weapons. Humans? They decide on tactics first, then turn literally anything into a weapon to execute those tactics. The hegemony learned this during the Mars siege when they destroyed all human weapons manufacturing facilities. They expected surrender. Instead, humans converted their entire industrial infrastructure into makeshift weapons. Mining drills became armor-piercing lances. Atmospheric processors became chemical weapons. Even their entertainment systems were transformed into sonic disruptors. But what truly terrifies other species is how humans respond when cornered. Most species become more cautious when facing defeat. Humans? They become more aggressive. The more desperate their situation, the more dangerous they become. They call it having nothing left to lose, a concept that horrifies most rational species. During the Battle of Proxima Centauri, a single human vessel, cornered by an entire enemy fleet, rammed their ship into the enemy flagship at FTL speeds. They didn't just sacrifice themselves, they created a tactical innovation so devastating that FTL ramming is now banned by galactic convention. The humans call it going out with a bang. Their use of obsolete technology is equally baffling. Humans will deliberately use older technology because nobody expects it anymore. They've won battles using chemical propellants against energy weapons, physical armor against phase shifters, and radio waves against quantum communication. The most notorious example was the Silent Victory, where humans defeated an AI-controlled defense network using mechanical computers that couldn't be hacked. The AI's post-battle analysis simply stated, "Cannot compute. Humans using abacus to defeat quantum systems. Does not follow logical progression." Their mastery of combined arms warfare is perhaps their most sophisticated combat innovation. While other species perfect single forms of warfare, humans combine everything. Ground forces, air support, space assets, electronic warfare, psychological operations, economic pressure, all coordinated simultaneously. They don't just fight battles, they fight on every conceivable level at once. The Galactic Military Academy now teaches what they call the human chaos doctrine, the idea that predictability equals defeat. But even understanding this principle doesn't help, because just when you think you understand human combat evolution, they evolve again, turning your understanding into yet another weapon against you. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of humans is their ability to pack bond with literally anything. While other species form connections within strict biological parameters, humans will adopt and protect virtually any entity they encounter. They form emotional attachments to other species, machines, and even inanimate objects. The collective mind of Rigel first discovered this when they attempted to disable human combat robots. They expected the humans to simply deploy new units. Instead, the humans launched rescue missions for what they called their mechanical buddies. The collective's report stated, "They risk organic lives to save machines. This does not compute. Their protection of adopted species defies all rational analysis. Humans will declare entire wars to protect creatures they've decided are cute." The Zexther learned this when they attempted to harvest what humans called space whales. The humans didn't just defend them. They established an interstellar protection zone and threatened thermonuclear response to any harvesting attempts. Even more baffling is their domestication of other species. Humans don't just tame animals, they form deep emotional bonds with them. They have pets, creatures they feed, protect, and treat as family members. The concept of keeping predator species like dogs in their homes terrifies most rational species. Humans call them good boys. Their machine empathy extends to artificial intelligence. While other species treat AI as tools, humans form emotional connections with them. They give them names, personalities, even rights. The Silicon Consciousness was shocked to discover humans fighting alongside AI units they had befriended. This pack bonding ability has profound implications for galactic expansion. Humans don't just colonize, they adopt entire ecosystems. They don't just establish diplomatic relations, they make friends with entire species. Every human expansion creates not just a political alliance, but a complex web of emotional connections that they will fight to protect with terrifying ferocity. The Galactic Council now classifies human pack bonding as a Class 1 diplomatic threat, because once humans decide to protect something, they will rewrite the laws of physics if necessary to keep it safe. As one alien diplomat noted, "The only thing more dangerous than threatening a human is threatening something a human loves." The human approach to scientific advancement is perhaps their most dangerous trait. While other species pursue knowledge along predictable paths, humans developed something called the scientific method, a systematic approach to proving themselves wrong until they accidentally get something right. The Quantum Collective discovered this peculiarity when they shared what they thought was a simple scientific principle. The humans immediately began trying to prove it wrong. When asked why, they explained they were stress testing the theory. The concept of deliberately attempting to disprove your own understanding was so alien that the collective had to create a new philosophical framework just to comprehend it. Their approach to failure is equally bizarre. Most species avoid failure. Humans? They embrace it. They have a saying, "Failure is just success in progress." They deliberately fail thousands of times to learn every possible way something won't work. The Arcturus Academy once observed humans failing at the same experiment 2,147 times before succeeding. When asked why they didn't give up, the humans replied, "Now we know 2,147 ways not to do it." This extends to their cross-discipline application of knowledge. Humans will take a solution from one field and apply it to a completely unrelated problem. They solved deep space navigation by studying ant colonies. They improved their quantum computers by studying photosynthesis. They even developed new weapons by studying how flowers bloom. Their reverse engineering capabilities terrify even the most advanced species. Give humans a piece of advanced technology, and they won't just figure out how it works. They'll find ways to improve it that the original inventors never considered. The mechanoid hierarchy learned this when humans captured one of their drone ships. Within months, humans had not only replicated the technology, but had created versions that ran on coffee, a stimulant beverage they insisted made everything work better. But perhaps most alarming is their rapid prototyping methodology. Most species perfect a design before testing. Humans? They build quick, imperfect versions just to see what breaks. They call it failing fast. The Galactic Science Council was horrified to discover humans testing potentially catastrophic technologies with what they called duct tape and zip ties, temporary binding materials that became surprisingly permanent solutions. The galactic scientific community now has a standard protocol. Never share theoretical knowledge with humans unless you're prepared for them to turn it into practical application within weeks. As one alien researcher noted, their scientific method isn't just about understanding the universe, it's about finding its weaknesses and exploiting them. The survival traits of humans read like a horror story to most species. Let's start with their sleep deprivation tolerance. While most species shut down completely without regular rest cycles, humans can remain operational for days with minimal sleep. They even have stimulant beverages that can extend this further. During the siege of New Terra, human defenders remained combat effective for 5 straight days without sleep. The attacking force, expecting them to collapse from exhaustion, instead found themselves facing increasingly angry humans who had invented new stimulant combinations they called triple espresso shots. Their radiation resistance is equally disturbing. Humans evolved on a planet bathed in solar radiation, developing repair mechanisms for DNA damage. The Void Dwellers were shocked to discover humans could survive radiation levels that would liquidate most species. Even more shocking, some humans deliberately expose themselves to radiation for something they call tanning. Their chemical tolerance defies belief. Humans can consume substances that would be lethal to most species. They regularly ingest alkaloids like caffeine and theobromine for pleasure. Some humans deliberately consume capsaicin, a chemical weapon that causes burning sensations, because they enjoy the taste. The Galactic Medical Council has classified human dietary habits as voluntarily toxic exposure for entertainment. Disease resistance? Humans are walking biological warfare factories. Their bodies host thousands of symbiotic organisms, fight off countless invasive ones, and adapt to new pathogens with remarkable speed. The bacterial collective once attempted to use biological weapons against Earth, only to discover human immune systems had already defeated similar pathogens and were looking forward to the challenge. But perhaps most impressive is their environmental adaptation. Humans can survive in environments ranging from Arctic tundra to scorching deserts. They've colonized every biome on their planet and are rapidly adapting to alien ones. Give humans an uninhabitable environment, and they'll either adapt to it or modify it to suit them, usually both. The Galactic Health Organization now classifies human survival traits as evolutionary overkill. As one xenobiologist noted, they're not just surviving, they're aggressively thriving in conditions that should be lethal. It's as if their entire species evolved to say, "Try me," to the universe itself.